Hey there guys, it's Keegan. I am back with another Spirituality Simplified video, and today I want to talk to you about future you. I'm going to get a little bit more specific about that. A lot of you are probably going to be familiar with this concept. You might have actually used this concept, but I want to talk to you about the best way of utilizing it, because I think a lot of times people get a little bit confused, and they don't know how to best tune into the future version of themselves that's really going to give them the most useful feedback. So I just finished filming another video, and in that video I was announcing that I am launching coaching as a service that I'm providing. But when I was confronted by my own spirit guides with the fact that this was the next step, that this was the next phase for me, this was the next step in the work, was to really allow myself to open up a little bit and be willing to work with people one-on-one, and to really change my emotional connection with the work, and to really have to tune into the stuff that I've gone through and the work that I've done, and be willing to share that and be vulnerable with people, and to allow people to be vulnerable with me. I gotta tell you, at first I was like, no, it's not something I want to do. But once that initial hesitation kind of calmed down, I did what I always do when I'm confronted with a question about the direction that I want to take my life, and that is sitting down and connecting to the version of me that's already doing it. And that's what I mean when I talk about future you. I wanted to share the personal story because I sat down and I said, okay, I want to connect to the version of me that is doing coaching, the version of me that is loving. This is the part where I think a lot of people get messed up. The version of me who's loving that work, the version of me who loves the people that he's getting to work with, the version of me who is seeing the clients that he's working with have huge shifts and make huge accomplishments in their lives. I want to connect to that version, and I have some questions. And guys, if you can do this exercise, if you can take the time to really get specific, right? Get really specific. And if you've done work to be able to really trust your intuition, gosh, it's so powerful, and it provides you with so much useful information. Now, a couple of disclaimers with this, okay? A lot of times what I see people do is they have something, right, where they have like a person they're considering a relationship with, or a change in career. They are thinking about doing something just different with their life. They're thinking about, maybe leaving a career that they've been in and starting a different business. Whatever it is, they have this thing that they're like, is this really what I'm supposed to do? Is this really going to work out for me? Why is this what I think I'm supposed to pay attention to? And they'll just say, okay, is there a version of me out there that's doing this? Is there a version of me out there that's with this person? And they get that feedback. Yes, there is. And they stop at that point. They say, oh, well, then I guess that means I'm supposed to do it. And you can't do it that way. You have to be really specific. I literally did this with the coaching, where I said, okay, I want to find the version of me that is doing this work, finding the right people, seeing those people have success, and is really just so happy and so thrilled that this is the work that he gets to do. Is that version out there? And immediately I felt the ping of that version of me. And immediately, when the feedback started coming through for me about what that version of me, the life that version of me was living, what their day-to-day was like, how that work shifted and changed that version of me in such profound ways. When I tell you I was not ready, I was not ready. I was not ready, guys. Uh, that version of me is so different than the version of me that was asking that question. And it's funny because I'm not saying that version, the future version, is different from me, the person who's recording this, because right now there's not that big of a gap. Because I've been working on this for months. I can't even explain to you how profound it felt to connect to that version of me and to feel him and to feel how happy and into his life and into his work he was. Like immediately I was like, yes, that version is the one that I want to experience, because it opened up a pathway where I eventually get to a life that really, really resonates with me, that really, really clicks for me. That when I'm there, when I'm fully there, and even as I'm saying that, right, in my mind, I see me. It's no longer this separate version of me. It's no longer a future version that's like detached from me. It's the future version that I'm directing myself towards. It's so comfortable making huge changes when you're connected to this version of you, that all of those changes led to them being really happy and really content. And then you can interact with that version of you. You can interact with that version of you and say, how did you get started? Do you remember being me? Like when you were here, what was it that you did? How did you feel this? Did the imposter syndrome take over? Did you get stuck for weeks? How did you get unstuck from that? And the feedback is there. And that's coming from me. It's coming from that version of me who's already there. Because time is fake, guys. Time is fake. It's not real. It's something we created to try to make sense of stuff, but it's not real. It's not real. Time is not real. And so that version of me who is already like down the road so far into that life, that version of me is able to look back and think, gosh, I remember at the end of 2021 when I was first starting to think about this and when I was struggling so hard to understand how all the pieces fit together. But now it all makes so much sense. They can think about me just as easily as I can think about them. And we're not separated by time. We're not separated by anything. We exist on the same plane. We are connected to the same source consciousness. We've just made different decisions. And I can choose to direct myself into the position of that particular person, that particular version of me that I can sense, that my intuition told me is out there, living the life that I was asking about, that checked off all of those things that I was saying, okay, but this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen, this needs to happen, this has to happen. And my higher self was like, yeah, good. It's this version over here. That's the one you're trying to become. And you're right. That's a really amazing life, Keaghan. Good job. Good job focusing in on that instead of focusing on what could go wrong. What are all the things that could go wrong? Focusing on what could go right. How could this work out? How could I feel bold and brave in this? How can I feel comfortable in this? How could this change my life in so many ways that I end up living a life that when I wake up, I can't believe this is my life? But that's what we have to start doing. We have to start asking for the life that we want. And we have to be really specific, and we have to trust that our intuition is going to say, yeah, if that's what you really want, then yes, there's a version of you that does that. Because simply tuning in with that question, is there a version of me that, whatever it is that you're wanting to know, as specific as you want to get, Simply asking that question means that version of you exists. And then all you have to do to get yourself from where you're at to where you want to be is to start living your life the way that that version of you tells you they started living their life, to get from where you are, where they were, forward. I guess the parting advice, and I have some parting advice here at the end, is just be very mindful about what version of you you're tuning into and what version of you you're trusting to give you feedback. Because I see a lot of people who are tuning into versions of them who get hurt, who get disappointed, and they're making decisions and they're making moves in their life based on the feedback of that version, and they don't realize why they end up in a situation where they get hurt or they get disappointed or things don't work out. And it's because you're tuning into the wrong future you. You're tuning into the wrong version of you, and you're not asking the right questions, and you haven't quite managed to tune in enough with your intuition to really understand the language of your intuition and to be able to decipher the communication that comes back when it's energy. We're connected to each other, and we're connected to different versions and different timelines and to our higher self. All of that, those connections are through energy. And so if you aren't yet in a place where you can understand the language of energy, then that information coming back, it doesn't make sense to you. It's not at a resonance where you can actually understand what's being communicated back. And so you really have to be careful if you're using this sort of technique in connecting to a future version of you, because if you're not ready for that, if you haven't done the work to allow yourself to feel comfortable and confident connecting to a really happy, thriving, successful version of you who's just living the life that they can't believe they get to live, if you're not comfortable doing that, you're going to tune into a version that's lesser, or a version that's the opposite, right? If you have kind of a pessimistic outlook, you're going to tune into a version of you that is, not killing it, not doing well. And if you haven't done the work to be able to understand what comes back when you do connect, then there's so much room for you to misinterpret it or not understand it properly. And so be careful if you're going to try this out on your own, and be mindful of what you're doing, because this is powerful manifestation work. This is kind of beyond anything in terms of like the law of attraction. This is you really kind of like pulling levers and asking for specific pathways to be cleared, and asking for a leveling up that is a lot. This is not something that is, beginner level. I'll put it that way. But I do think that this is something that is out there in the spiritual community, this notion of a future version of you, and using that as a launching point to get yourself from where you're at to where you want to be. And so I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to have the video on the channel that addresses it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please take a moment to subscribe. It just helps the channel to grow. You can give this video a thumbs up. That helps. You can leave a comment. That helps. Share this video with someone that you think might enjoy it. All of those things help me so much. And lastly, I just want to say, if you have not checked out my website, please go to KeaghanKirk.com and poke around and see what is there. If you're interested in knowing more about how you might work with me, there's lots of information on my website. Take care of yourself. Please be careful if you do decide to experiment with this. Try to aim big. Try to aim for happiness. Try to aim for being very specific and telling the universe exactly what it is that you want to create for your life, and see what information you get back. I love you guys so much.